bit. I've gone live earlier than planned. I scheduled it for an hour, but I got here quickly, so I thought I'd go live. Just waiting around doing nothing really. So I'm in Reading for this live event. I'm going to wait for a minute or so just to see if anybody jumps on. This is live on YouTube. It's also on conservativenewssite.com /TV. So on that page, any live event that's scheduled would appear. May not be exactly as it says on time. This one is scheduled for 4 p.m. I may go live earlier, but I figure it doesn't really matter because the video is also on the channel, so you can come back and watch it when you need to. But I'm here in the centre of Reading. There is a theatre called the Hexagon just over there, behind me to my left. To my right is the Magistrates' Court. Behind me to my right is Reading Police Station. Outside there, on the road opposite, is where I first went live for a conservative news site on YouTube. I think this is all okay. I'm just going to put up, no, the brightness is there. Okay, still going. Cool. This technology isn't new to me, but I'm just mindful that I don't want to shut it off during the live. I think the screen is going dark because it's bright, but I'll try and read the comments if I can. Because of the glare, it's gone dark, but there we go. That's the way that it works. Okay, I'll hang on. So these live streams are about crime. I'm following what UK police forces are doing. Reading has been a particular spot of interest in recent years because of the amount of activity that has been cited here that has international attention as well as local and national attention as well. A lot of people have come here to learn about various international crimes, and they have found people to interview about that, to learn more about hacking, to learn more about cyber security, to learn more about cyber incidents, to learn more about terrorism and involvement. One of the features of crime here has been that people are doing it on their own. It's not part of a mosque, it's not part of a church, a synagogue, it's not part of a religious place of worship. So those issues haven't necessarily come up for me. It's been a case of finding the criminal, not finding where a criminal hangs out or where they're happiest. It's been a case of trying to track and follow who they are, where they are, and what they're doing. That's made it useful also for other people to question and to do some research and find out what goes on in the life of a hacker or somebody that's trying to defraud us. This live is about security scares. The UK isn't just subject to terrorism, it also has its own threats called domestic threats, usually referred to as being domestic threats. People who are born here, they go to school here, they're parented here, they have guardians who are also citizens here, but they pose a threat to our safety. Why would anybody do that? Why would anybody want to threaten us when we are fellow citizens? Well, that is part of an investigation, investigations by police officers, experts in law enforcement, and also the intelligence services we pay for by our taxes. They have to bring out that as well. They have to work out some of the reasons why. Now, some of those individuals, some of those officials are able to follow individuals as they're plotting, not just after they've done it. Others have to follow it up if it eventually happens. Security scares can come at us from all different angles. I've known of a lot of incidents in London, and it wouldn't be possible to put them in one category. It depends on who it is. It could be a young woman, it could be an elderly male pensioner, it could be a group of teenagers, it might be a group of middle-aged businesswomen. Security scares can come in all shapes and sizes. and the reasons are as multifaceted as the world is. I posted yesterday a picture of one young gentleman, male, it looks like in his 30s or 40s, early 40s maybe, who's posed a significant risk for a long period of time in London. He's been aided by a number of other people who are also UK citizens. They're variously motivated by different political causes, but they all seem to find some hope, if you like, some perverse hope in what he was doing. And his activities were funded by some of these people, and he was also helped if he ran into difficulties by these people too. He posed a risk to parliamentary security. Somehow he managed to gain privileged access, access that he took. This was access that was derived from other people and given to him. So he took the place of some other people and he used it to create security risks. Not necessarily something that's come up on any other news site. I don't know if other journalists or reporters have known about this. I've spoken to some freelance journalists and they knew of him. In fact, they were worried that he presented a risk to them. It brings up questions of how much people really care. I mean, he has threatened parliamentary staff sometimes. There are a lot of people that work in and around Parliament, but that's the worry. How many people have tried to find out who he is? He's also threatened members of the public who are visiting Parliament. I wonder how many people care about that as well. He's also tried to approach MPs on his own initiative. I wonder how many people have cared about that incident, that type of incident too. It sort of brings up questions about how sincere people are who comment or criticize or protest or demonstrate about politics in the UK when somebody like this is able to spend that length of time being funded, just causing problems to people that work in the core of our democracy. I certainly have grown to suspect more people than a few. I think most people need to answer for how this could carry on for so long. I leave the few to get on with their own business because they may have their concerns, but they can't deal with it. But most people, I think, don't, most people need to be questioned about why this has gone on for so long. Try and move this around. I can actually see what I'm doing. Excuse me if it goes off. Okay, so he was spotted here in Reading. This is somewhere where he's been seen before. He has been challenged, I know, on at least two occasions about what he's doing in London, but he seemed to get away and he continued with his activity. It is worrying because Parliament obviously is a very sensitive place. It's a place where real work goes on. It's a place where people need to be safe to have discussions, to speak their mind, and not find themselves at the mercy of an assailant just because they said something that some people find controversial. This sort of individual makes it more possible that they will come under attack. Without him in the frame, they're less likely to be challenged or to feel under threat just for saying something. Clean the camera again. Hang on. We are. So, who is he? I can't reveal biographical details in this live stream. I mean, it wouldn't be in line with any investigation. It wouldn't be very sensitive of me to do that, considering the trouble he's in and what he may have to answer to by those who are in greater authority than me. But he's been doing it since a young age. He was allegedly part of a number of youth clubs, adventure clubs. He is known by a number of people. He's not closeted in the way that he lives. He's not unknown. He's not a secret hidden person. He's known by people for sure. His activity has been described in the past as erratic, and that's by people who are aware of how we should behave and conduct ourselves in public if we're going to be seen. So he did raise some alarm bells, but it was very difficult for people to know exactly what he was doing with his time. After some investigation by myself, and I know some other people who also quietly investigated him, it soon became apparent that he was involved in trying to agitate against Parliament, specifically in London, not against the idea itself or against television crews, but against Parliament itself. So he was posing a risk to people who are working on our behalf as part in our political systems. It is that serious. I also found out this individual managed to gain access to the parliamentary buildings fairly easily, which is a worry. It almost seemed as though he was welcomed in. Now, I'm not blaming any other staff. There may have been a rogue staff member at one time who managed to begin that process. And through virtue of being seen and his activity not being understood, he managed to repeat his entry to Parliament. But this is what he decided to do. And it went unnoticed for a number of years until complaints began to be made and there were reports of disturbing incidents, not causing injury, not injurious, and not fatal. But intimidation can come also in different shapes and sizes. It could just be some verbal abuse. It could be throwing objects. It could be slamming doors. It could be worse than that. Exactly how much he's done and to who, I can't share either. But I know he's been to other parts of the country to do the same thing. But his main target is Parliament. I can see myself now. Hi to those who have joined. Sorry for having to wipe the camera clean. It seems to be dust blowing around. They're doing some building work around the place. Awesome. So he's been seen in Bristol. He's been seen in Great Yarmouth. He's been seen, obviously, in London, as I said. He's been seen in Falmouth. He's also been seen in Torquay. I can say that because I've seen him in all those different places. He's the same person in each of those places. He's doing the same thing. He's trying to intimidate people. He is trying to threaten people. He's using different methods and ways of doing it. Sometimes he turns up without any belongings just to push people around. Other times he has stuff with him that he throws at people. He's actually a very abrasive individual. He's very hostile. Sometimes it was more obvious than others why he was doing what he was doing. But with the support that he had, people giving him money and also giving him tip-offs, he had some ideas behind him and some ways of staying in different places overnight as well to try to cover for his activity. All those places, all those 5 places are known for being blighted with antisocial activity. They all have issues at times with gangs, but also with individuals like this suspect who seem to turn up just to cause trouble. It's my belief that they tend to follow each other. If they hear of an incident in a particular place, they will follow each other in to also cause trouble as well. I've been told that this type of individual is difficult to track down because they have a high profile target. It makes them the target of investigation, but also it draws support because they're attacking an institution that perceivably is unpopular to some people. It means they find support from those people. Investigations begin from multiple different bodies and also private investigators because it is such a sensitive site, and those can often slow each other down because of the type of work they need to do. So it is a lot of trouble, but it needs to be solved, doesn't it? It needs to be stopped. The individual needs to be apprehended, and people need to show more concern. I brought up in a few posts on Conservative News site about the security of MPs. It's important that we do it for them. It's important that the UK can keep its representatives secure. It can't just be handed over to private companies. They are less successful. Their success rate is significantly lower than the UK, the UK state. We're more able as a state to protect our representatives than private companies. It's also part of our duty to ourselves and to each other that we're able to keep things safe. If we want a democracy, if we want to elect people, we need to also make sure that it's safe to do it. But these sorts of people exist everywhere. I mean, you could visit a large city anywhere in the United Kingdom, and you will find people that come across as just frankly being agitators. They don't really get close enough to sites like Parliament or even to local authority buildings, but they're certainly willing to plot and they're willing to have a go anyway. Often their plots are foiled. This is a year round 365 effort by police forces to stop people from trying to do harm to our democratic way of life. Unfortunately, some people get through, they manage to achieve a single event. Other people are much more insidious and they need to be tracked down, spotted, and they need to be arrested as soon as possible because they find a way through and they use it to their advantage as often as they can. And it can cause a lot of disruption in the lives of individual MPs and in this instance, in the lives of staff members too. But security has been on a lot of people's minds. The death, the passing of two MPs, which has been linked to the British Army, but is also linked to far right cells in the United Kingdom, brings up the concern of public figures being safe. They are syndicated on many different television channels. Their profile photos can be found on official websites, and people will reference who they are and where they come from online and offline. It makes them a target. It can even make them a target for those who are mentally ill because they come across as more present than most people. So sometimes the effort is pointless. It doesn't really even have a nefarious political cause. It is just a result of somebody being ill. It isn't easy to cause a lot of drama in Parliament anyway. I don't believe that um, the impact of what he did to certain people was high. I don't believe that it caused too much disturbance within Parliament, but he would try. I know on one occasion he tried to get across a particular message to somebody. It was more personal than political. It would have mattered in any situation, not just Parliament. He wasn't always that successful in frightening people either, but the repetitive nature of his personality or his crime, the insistence that he seems to have in still doing it, um, causes it to be a lingering worry, and the fact that he's managing to get through security into the buildings too. I know from one source, anonymous source, that most of his targets he picked at random. It's if he saw somebody, if he noticed they could be an MP, if he knew a staff member, he would usually go for them. He would usually pass by members of the public to try to target somebody important. So maybe he has a fetish or obsession with importance. Maybe he is obsessed too with people that are near those that he interprets or perceives as being important. But this is not something that is so strange or foreign, let's say, to people in the United Kingdom, whoever we are. We know about protests, we know about demonstration, we know about the more eccentric types of it. We also know, of course, through the deaths, unfortunate deaths, the sad deaths of two people and also a police officer in Parliament. There is also a very sinister side to it. This guy fits into the latter category. He could have caused a lot of damage. He wasn't able to, as far as I know. But given more time, he might have been able to make a further breakthrough, not just gaining access when he felt he could have it, but also causing damage if he felt he could. He might have actually turned into somebody very dangerous. I've met members of the public who are also worried about that type of scenario. I've also come across a lot of people that don't seem to be aware that it could be a scenario, despite the evidence, despite the incidents, criminal investigations, as I said, into two MPs fortunately being killed. Um, it doesn't really seem to occur to people that it's something that needs to be worked on and that it's still an issue. Part of the reason for these live events is to try to draw attention to what the police do, which is really surrounding crime and making sure that crime is taken down, networks are dismantled, as the Prime Minister has said, that gangs are smashed. And I'm trying to highlight the work that police forces do. Reading Police Force would have been involved in knowing and also looking into who that guy is. Other law enforcement bodies will be as well. But this is what they get up to. This is what they find. This is how life intersects at the crossroads of our lives here. There are officers that find out about all sorts of different types of crime. They find out about hacking. Unfortunately, they find out about sexual abuse. They find out about harassment, domestic abuse, fraud, stealing, uh, damage to property, stalking, rape, all those sorts of things, murder. Local police forces come across often. There are times when it also relates to things that are famous, maybe people, maybe buildings, maybe particular traditions or things that we do as part of our state activity. Sometimes ceremonial events, like royal events, let's say public events, also come under attack. Sometimes people are threatened because they are who they are, because they are doing what they're doing. So it's important to find these people. They are clever to begin with. They know how to create and spread fear, but they don't need to be successful. We're developed enough, we're funded enough, we're intelligent enough to know how to get on and to sort it out. Comments? There are lots of things going on in the world, um, but a lot of us aren't really involved in it directly. It's sad that it happens, but the life that still goes on here involves working. It involves working on what people are doing wrong. It involves keeping ourselves safe from their plots. It means foiling what they're trying to do. I mean, if somebody really did cause a lot of disturbance in our political system, it may suspend some services, some programs may be stopped, some people may be hindered from making the changes that we need. People who are elected are not just bodies to be used and to have words put in their mouths. They are supposed to be doing the work that they're given to do. They are the people that are supposed to do it. And if you believe in a type of resourcing, then that would be somebody who has words put in their mouth, but it doesn't necessarily mean they'll be effective, or what they have to say will be legislated. It does need to have legitimacy too. But this individual that I posted on Conservative News site, I know him to be very evasive. He tries to escape when people are trying to apprehend him. He doesn't like to answer questions. He doesn't like to talk to people. He shows an aversion to saying anything. I don't believe it's to do with a learning difficulty. It is because he is a criminal. He is breaking the law. He is trying to escape capture. He is trying to avoid being imprisoned for whatever he's done. He is just trying to carry on doing it. I don't know his precise motivation, but I think he gets some sort of kick or perverse pleasure out of doing it. And therefore, he's got a reason to try to get away from people if he's seen. But this is what can come up. Politics in the UK is supposed to be democratic. It's supposed to involve anybody who wants to get involved. That means that some of these people come out of the woodwork in places where we live, not necessarily just in London. It may be that he's lived at an address in London before, but these people can be seen anywhere. Sometimes they've got to resource their crime again, so they need to visit a town or a city where contacts live too. So they visit in order to make contact with those people, which he might have been doing. When I photographed him, and so that's part of the value of being aware and and being available, possibly with your phone, is that you can also spot the people that you've heard of credibly and that you believe are involved in that sort of activity. It can be useful just to tip somebody off with, just as you may phone 999 to say you think you've seen something suspicious. It may also be possible to send a photo of what you've seen that looks suspicious so that people can tell you, or they can inform their colleagues if it is in fact suspicious. But Reading's certainly been a hotspot for crime in recent years. I've covered a lot of it while I've been here. Thankfully, a lot of it is being dealt with, and people are more aware of what they can and can't do. But this is one of those crimes which seems to slip through sometimes, in that people have to really get inside their own head and stay there in order to do it. They're not always aware. And also, they're not necessarily sympathetic to how unwanted their activity is. So it is sometimes a case of intercepting an individual to try to dissuade them and also to catch up with them and to find out what they've been doing. So I'm going to leave it there for today. Um, it's certainly a concern, as I've said, but it's also a relief that this individual has finally been publicly identified. It means that some people will be safer. And it means that some people can get on with their lives, whatever their job is. I mean, just because an MP is an MP doesn't mean I'm personally involved or that they work for me. They can get on with their work, whatever their agenda is, whatever they've got to cut their teeth on. They're able to get on with that because they're not being held back or being pushed off it or intimidated from it by a particularly difficult individual. And the way that politics works best here is when people are unhindered, when they can just get on with their work, they can think freely, they can speak freely, and people can follow up safely with their MP on their own issues or what the MP is doing.